she put her first lip color on, and then I put the drape on that matched it. And she looked at herself in the mirror and tears fell. And she said, I feel so beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen myself this way before.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, community development, and workforce development. Learn more at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. Today, joining us on The Vault, we're really excited to have you. We have Kaitlyn with the House of Color. So welcome. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Well, we're beyond excited to have you here and jump right in because you brought something really cool and unique to the Billings area.
I did. Yes.
Before we do that, though, we want to get all into that. But just to know you a little bit better, can we just start with like where you grew up? What was your upbringing like? And did you have some of those things growing up that have you look back on now that have shaped where your career has taken you?
Yes. So I grew up in Billings, grew up in the Heights. So we went to Skyview, played all the things, was always busy, was like always doing something. Went off to college, went down to Sheridan Community College for 2 years and played volleyball, and then transferred to a small school in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Thought that I was going to like make my life in Tennessee and live there forever. And the Lord had different plans for me and brought me back to Billings. And then I joke, it feels like I moved back to a different city because now we live on the West End.
Yes.
And so like that, living in the Heights and growing up in the Heights and then now living on the West End just feels so different, but we really love it. We have great neighbors. And so I think growing up, always being busy, always having something to do has really lent itself well to being a business owner.
Oh, yeah, because you're always busy. You always have something to do.
There's like, okay, today I'm going to relax for, 2 hours and then I have to like do this thing. There's always something.
You have to plan your relaxation time.
Yeah. As far as like career and like the actual physical, what I do, I have no experience prior to the House of Color training in like the fashion world. If you would have told high school me that I was going to like tell people what they should wear, I would have laughed at you in the face because myself, like, I remember going to high school and halfway through the day, I would look in the mirror and like, oh, why did I wear this today? And then you're just like so self-conscious about your outfit.
If it helps, I think every girl did that in high school. Be like, I thought this looked so good.
And low-rise jeans.
I went through a stage of slicking back my hair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
So where was that training like and what piqued your interest? I had never heard of House of Color until I started following you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you hear about it and what was that like for you?
So I heard about it on Instagram,
okay.
Of all places, of course.
Gotta love the Insta.
Yes. I took a sales and communication training and one of the CEOs on there on Instagram asked all of her followers, I'm turning 30. What is a good birthday present to ask for? And she had no idea what color analysis was. And someone told her about color. And so she lives in Georgia. She flew to Texas, got her colors and her style done. And then, of course, she's, like a high-level saleswoman and just, like, talked about it constantly on her stories. And I was like, okay, I need to do this. Because I was always the person, like, try something on. Does this color look good on me? Like, can I wear this color? I remember actually before I got my colors done, going into Rock House and asking Courtney, like, does this pink look okay on me? And of course, she's like, yes, you look great.
It's amazing.
Right. So I was looking for like, where can I go? Where's the closest place? And at the time, there was a couple gals down in Denver, Denver, Colorado Springs area. There was a girl in North Dakota, and then someone in Pocatello, Idaho. So all in like 7 to 8 hours away.
Yeah. Wow.
And was at the time also working with a life coach and was in a group coaching program and was going on a retreat to Florida and have some friends who live in Georgia. And so after the retreat, I ended up just driving up to Alpharetta and we got our colors done together.
Fun.
Because I thought like, well, if I'm going to drive 8 hours to, somewhere close by, it'd be really fun to go do this with friends.
Mm-hmm.
And got my colors done. And it truly was, I was like just over a year postpartum and just so like, it sounds cheesy to say, but truly so life-changing of like, wow, I am beautiful.
Aww.
Wow, I do actually love the way that I look. I've just been wearing the wrong colors that have made me look terrible for so long. And so then I eventually got to a point where I was like, we need this in Montana. Not everyone can either drive 8 hours or fly across the country.
Right.
And some of my friends were like, well, you should do it. Like, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, you should do it. No, I can't do that. And then I really just felt like the Lord like laid the path for me to start it here and to go through, like to become a franchise owner. You have to also do style. So then I went back to Georgia to get my style done.
Oh, darn.
I know.
Dang it.
Had to see friends again. And that was just another added layer of like confidence and really awesomeness. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you got them done yourself. And then was that like in the training too with that? Or so you got both of these done and then was the training separate?
Yeah, the training was separate. So at the time, the training center was in Kansas City. So we did like 3 days of virtual training, just like really going over the hand motion. So like not even requiring your brain to actually see what you need to see during a color analysis. And then it was a week of in-person training and
and that's what's getting your brain to see what you need to see.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by the hand motions?
So during a color analysis, we use drapes. We use precision dyed drapes, and we put them on like whoever's getting their colors done. And so there's like a specific and kind of a special way to like put it on them. And then you do comparisons. And so you have one on the bottom, one on the top, and then you take the top one off. And it's like that change that happens in your skin. And so before you're like trying to worry about what the change is, you just want to be really proficient. So you're not like fumbling with your hands. And
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you do the training. You said you hadn't owned a business prior, right?
I did do social media management right before then.
Oh, very cool. So you had your own.
Which has been very helpful, I assume, for this business.
Yes, it has been.
And then when did you open, and what was that opening process like in Billings? And how did the community receive you?
Yeah, so I opened in May of 2023, so just over a year ago.
Congratulations.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And I've like run into 3 groups of people. Either people have no idea what color analysis is, and so they're like, oh, House of Color, you can like help me pick out pink colors for my house. I'm like, no, you don't want me doing that. Or they're like, oh, I remember when that was a thing, like in the 70s and 80s. Or it's like the younger generation, and they're like, oh, I've done all of the TikTok filters, and like I think I know what I am.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you listening, and you just heard a new voice, that's Hayden, our intern here.
Hi, guys. I am the young person on TikTok who's done the color analysis filters.
I didn't know that was on TikTok, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's not reliable. But what? I know.
Shucks.
Shocker. But the community has been so supportive. Yellowstone Valley Women Magazine reached out to me and
They're great. Julie's
they're
awesome.
So wonderful. Did an article. KTVQ Diana reached out to me and did like a little news segment, and then Q2. And so when people ask like, what's marketing been like? And, you know, what's your marketing budget? Like, I haven't had to spend like hardly anything on marketing because the community is so excited when they do hear about it, and they're like, well, we just want to do it, you know?
And your social media is great. I mean,
Thank
like you're posting your reels, your posts, your stories every day. I just think that it's very engaging, and it's one that like I like to look at every day. I mean, I know you can tell who looks at it, but it's like, oh, what's going on today? Or like, what are those things that you're doing, and seeing the transformations with people coming in that haven't had it, and now they're in autumn or they're spring, and all of those are really fun to follow.
Yeah. I do get into weeds of when I go in and I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch more. And then all of a sudden I'm like, where did this half an hour go?
So I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So tell us what is that experience like? So if someone's not familiar with a color analysis and a style analysis, what's that whole experience with you like?
Yeah. So I'll start it off by saying people are more surprised throughout the appointment than they think they are going to be. They're surprised to hear that it's like a 2-hour appointment, both color and style. And then if you do them together, you're with me for like 4 hours, which is really fun. It's very like individualized and very unique to the person because we are all so unique and different. So even like, I would say like a group of 3 is the most comfortable if you're wanting to do a group, like 2 or 3. Beyond that, it gets to be a really long day. But you come in, and I like to teach about like, one, why it's important, where it came from, where it started, and then an understanding of color theory and the perspective of color and color science and all of that. So that when we're going through the process and you're seeing the changes that are happening in your skin and in your face, you're like, oh, and it's a lot of information, but I'm talking you through it. And then you're able to be like, oh, well, that's why that's happening. It really just gets people more bought in than like, oh, I'm just going to do this because it's fun.
Well, and where did it start?
So it actually started in Hollywood in the 70s. Actors and actresses would come to set one day looking really like alive and awake and peppy and ready to go. And the next day they would come to set looking a little bit more tired and a little bit more disheveled and like not quite as like wide awake, but they wouldn't be feeling any different. And so directors and producers realized that it was the colors that they were wearing that were making them look a certain way and giving off this like certain perception of how they're feeling.
Now I'm going to need to start paying attention in movies to see
absolutely.
Is Jennifer Aniston wearing like the same set of colors in every movie because of the way it makes her skin glow?
Yeah.
Maybe that's her secret.
Yeah. Well, and
I think
like,
she has other secrets.
Right. The new season of Bridgerton, I don't remember. I'd like watched it briefly, but I don't remember her name. The cute little redhead with Penelope.
Yes.
Yeah.
She went through that like transformation, and they first were dressing her in colors that looked kind of childish and looked kind of juvenile and like just kind of cheap and cheesy on her. And then she went through this like womanly transformation.
And new dress colors.
Yes. Yeah. New dress colors. And she just like looked glowing. Yeah. She bloomed.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so we do the colors. Can you talk a little bit about what are those colors? What are those seasons? I know we've seen like winter, summer, spring, but what are those more in depth?
Yeah. So when that all started in Hollywood in like the 70s, an artist then took all of that and he created what we know as the 4 seasons. So there is winter, summer, autumn, and spring. And so the way that it works is colors are first separated between whether it's a warm yellow-based color or a cool blue-based color. So autumn and spring are both warm seasons. So they have mostly yellow within the colors. Winter and summer, those are cool blue-based seasons. And so those are mostly like blue-based colors. That all, of course, works with us, and we all have undertones, and our undertones are either slightly tinted yellow or slightly tinted blue. And so we already prefer one half of the colors in the world over another. Yeah. And then from there, a color is either really clear and bright, or it's blended a little bit softer, a little bit more muted. And that's really like the way. So first, a color is working either with or against our undertones. And then it's like the way that our undertones and our complexion and our skin react to either really clear colors or really blended colors.
That's so interesting. And what are you?
I'm a spring.
You're a spring.
Yes.
And cool, or
So
wait, they're
warm.
warm. Okay.
Yeah.
Spring
So
is warm. Got
Yellow
it.
undertone.
Yes.
I'd
So
have to
warm.
like see that written out, I think, to like
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Well, that's what I like about it. It's very visual. So even the visual learners are like, you're putting the colors on them and showing them like, here's this color. You see how you look. And then you're like, whoosh.
Yep.
And there you look in this nice color, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a visual person. So for me, I'd be like, oh, I get it now. Versus you just going, you're a spring.
Right.
And I'd be like, what does that mean?
Yes. And you're like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blue, yellow.
And then what's the style component to that? So you talked about a style analysis. How do those pair, and what is the style analysis?
Yeah. So I really think that color is like a third of the equation. Style really rounds it out. Style is all about dressing and honoring our body architecture. So our bone structure within our body, our like vertical measurements and proportions. And so I use the analogy of like, think about this table, or really your dining room table at home for those of you listening. Whether it's like a rectangle table or a square, or maybe it has like rounded edges, or it's just a full like big round table. When you go to the store and buy a tablecloth for that table, you're going to buy one that's the same shape as your table, right? And so the same thing with our clothes. How often do we go and we buy things that are the wrong shape for our body, but we blame our bodies rather than blaming the clothes? And so then we're like, well, there's something wrong with me, that this doesn't work. But really, it's probably just the wrong shape of garment. And so that's what we figure out is like, what garment shapes do you need? Are you long-legged or long-bodied? How do you need to balance out your proportions? And then the other and so I hear a lot of like, oh, that makes so much sense.
I'm hearing that in my head right now.
I know. I'm just going. I'm like, oh my god, how many times have I just body shamed myself?
Certain,
right?
like things I've bought, and I'm like, God, I hate how that fits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've got those tricky mirrors in the dressing
certain
room.
lighting.
Yeah. And we talk about trends too. So like, is the high-waisted jeans and crop top trend best for you? You know, and then you learn all of these skills that then the next trend that comes, like, you can figure out yourself, is this going to work for me? Or is this like, am I just going to be forcing myself into something?
I'm going to say that I figured out quite early on that lowrider jeans were not for me.
Yes. Same.
Yeah, those were really bad. You didn't go through that. I don't
No,
know.
not really. I feel like low rise is coming back, but
I know, it's
maybe
really
I should
bad.
wear it. I don't know. Steer clear.
Not a vibe. Not a vibe.
So once we do that, once we like go through all of your body architecture things, then we find what we call your clothing personality. And that's really like, okay, so now you have the right tablecloth on your table and you're having friends over for a party. How are you going to adorn your tablecloth? Because there is so much behind the things that we wear and the way that people perceive us by what we're wearing and how we present ourselves. And so we talk about like, okay, in your everyday life, if you're a mom, when you're at home with your kids, if you are working and you're presenting to a group of people, how do you want them to perceive you? Because we all, it's just our human nature, make judgments about people based off of how, like, what they're wearing, how, like, is their hair combed, you know? And the good news is we have total control of the stories that people are making in their mind about us. And so we talk through that, like, how do you want to be perceived by others? Are you that like kind of fun, quirky, and that like feels really true to you? Or are you very classic and do you love like very timeless pieces? And so then we
That's
find
like us two right here. Quirky, timeless.
love it.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's us.
exactly it.
Yeah.
We balance each other well.
Yes, I love that. And so we would figure out what we call your clothing personality. And And that's like, okay, so instead of going to Target and buying the $8 t-shirt, maybe you go to Dillard's or you go to something chic or Rock House, and you're like, okay, I'm going to spend a little bit more money, but I'm going to buy something that has a little bit more interest and fits into my clothing personality. So then I can just throw that thing on and don't feel so kind of plain, right? Because I say everybody can wear jeans and a t-shirt, but most people, and I was one of those people, don't know how to take it beyond that. It's like those reels that you see where it's like wearing versus styling.
Yes,
like,
I love those.
But if you don't know how to style it, that's not your fault, And so we talk through all of that.
And that's so fascinating. I'm so very, very intrigued.
I know. I need to come in now.
Yes.
and
Please do.
What are those things that you see? Are there, and we're all so different. So you talked about height, all of those things that just make us feel different.
Yeah.
Are there common perceptions that people have when they're in those styling appointments, or aha moments that a lot of people have?
I can see that it could be a little emotional too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of women feel like they need to just cover up themselves and they buy baggy clothes or, the wrong thing. And so style too is a lot of I've had people say, well, I'm kind of on a weight loss journey. And so I think I want to wait. Or I had a gal and she was within just a few weeks of giving birth, but and I'm like, it's all about dressing your now body, because as long as you're putting the right shapes of clothing on you, the only thing that might change is the size. You're not then, because your bone structure never changes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so then maybe you are in a season where you need to buy a bigger size. Who cares? And maybe you're in a season where you're like, oh, I do need to buy a smaller size. Also, who cares? Good for you, And so it's a lot about embracing your body now and learning to love yourself in that and how you were created, and not always feeling like you have to reach the next goal to then buy the whatever it is.
So kind of what I'm hearing is the colors and your style, they don't really change over time.
Right.
Just like your sizes might.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. You are born one season. So and you are that season your whole life.
And it's probably not the season you were actually born in.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So my son is almost 3 and he's a spring, which is
cute.
Fun. I don't always, we get a lot of hand-me-downs, which I'm so thankful for. Mm-hmm. They're not all spring colors, but I'm you're cute in whatever you wear, But then as he starts to get older and, has a job interview or
school pictures.
Yeah. It's prom. I can't even think about that.
Prom pictures. Yes. What color of suit is going to look best.
Yeah.
And how handy, I think, for him being so little, I assume.
Yeah.
Little. So as they get older, it's just something they have. Mm-hmm. As they go school shopping for the job interview, all of that, they just it's innate at such a young age, and they know.
Yeah. And he'll say, is that my spring shirt? Yes, it is. We're going to wear it today.
And that's what we're wearing. Oh, that's so cute. That's so fun.
So what we've heard so far is that this business not only helps you understand what colors complement your skin tone, but it also builds confidence. Mm-hmm. Can you share more about that confidence building that occurs during that process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There have been a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of tears, but I've seen eyes well up, and there have been tears in the chair. I had a mom who her second son, I want to say was 6 or 8 months old. And I feel like she and I kind of connected on that level of she's postpartum with her son doing this. And a part of color too is we do makeup. And so you get to see your best makeup colors. And with that, we do lip colors, which is really fun. And so she put her first lip color on, and then I put the drape on that matched it. And she looked at herself in the mirror, and just tears just fell. Aww. She's like, I'm so sorry. Getting tears on your, I'm like, it's okay. And she said, I feel so beautiful. Wow. I don't know if I've ever seen myself this way before. Oh. And a lot of women are I don't know if I've ever seen myself and feel this great about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does give you so much, especially if you're in that boat of like, I've never really loved anything I've put on, or I've never felt like so the life coach that I worked with, I remember seeing a picture of myself we threw a surprise party for my mom's birthday a few years ago. And there was like this really sweet picture of my mom and I together. And I looked at that picture and I was telling my life coach, like, I don't know why, but that doesn't feel like me in that picture. You know, like if you've ever seen and you're like, that doesn't feel like, I don't look pretty. I don't love the way that I look, but like how I feel on the inside. I usually
burn those photos so they can never be brought out again.
Yeah. And while there was a lot of like deep things within me that I had to work through, it also was like, I was not wearing a color that was honoring my natural beauty, and the full picture, all of it just wasn't together. And so the inside wasn't being reflected on the outside. And so that's like what a lot of women experience, having their best colors on them. And then especially if their hair is right and then having the right makeup, they're like, oh, well, this is how I feel on the inside. And like now it's finally being portrayed on the outside.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And would you find, so you mentioned hair, is it normally with people's like natural color, or is it like maybe, because I have naturally dark hair, or is it like, oh no, Marcel, you would look way better with color style as a blonde, or is it more of your natural color?
So your natural color is always best. There were no.
Hayden's like, yes. Yeah, you do have beautiful dark hair too.
Do,
well,
yeah.
These are real highlights.
Mine too.
I'm green, so there's something I have to work through myself. But
yes. So yeah, your natural hair color is always best. It's when you decide to add color to your hair. It's that like warm versus cool. Blondes, do you need and do you really thrive in that like ashy, cool platinum blonde, or do you need those warm golden blondes? And then same for like adding highlights in. Do you want warm highlights or do you need really cool ashy highlights?
wow.
This makes so much sense why my hairstylist asked, do you want cool and ashy, or do you want, and I'm like, I don't know. Give me whatever.
What do you think?
That's literally what I say. Is like, you've never steered me wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm also dying to know, with your social media background, that did you start that when you came back from Tennessee?
I, for my whole life, wanted to be a teacher. And then quickly in college, realized I did not want to be a teacher. But
I think that happens to a lot of people.
Yes. But I was like, okay, I have no idea what the heck I want to do. So I don't want to change my major and then be in school longer than I have to. So I graduated with a child and youth development degree, but not a teaching license, and worked at a hotel. So I lived in Tennessee for like a year after I graduated, because I'm
this is going to make it, I'm going to make it work.
Yes. Like, I'm going to find me a nice Southern man. And
I'm going to get myself in a state.
Yes. So worked at a hotel, the front desk, hated it. It was terrible. And then so then I was like, okay, maybe something in childcare. So I worked in a gym in the daycare there. It was a daycare that was not licensed by the state because they didn't have to be. So it was like the ratio was 14-1.
Oh, wow.
So there were some.
I've been there.
It was terrible.
I did that too. I was a daycare person, but in high school.
Oh,
I'm like, why are they leaving me with all these kids?
Yeah. I remember there was one baby on one knee. I was sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor. One baby on the other and one in my lap, and they were all three crying as there's like 2-year-olds.
I would have been crying too.
Yeah,
I would have been like,
that probably would have actually stopped all of the kids. Be like, oh God, we broke her.
Thankfully, they were there for like, an hour and a half, but it was
wow,
it was a lot. So I was like, okay, well, this is also not for me. And then thought, well, maybe I want to be a personal trainer. So I tried that out for a bit. I don't love science, and my brain just doesn't work that way very well. And
I feel you.
Human anatomy.
mm-hmm.
So then I was a full-time nanny the summer before I moved back. And then when I moved back, I did like some odd end jobs, worked at Black Dog for a while, loved it there. It was really fun. And then actually worked for Young Life for a few years. I started off as the area admin and then was the regional admin.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like the admin things within my business, I'm like, okay, well, I don't like to do them, but I know how to do them.
There's some skills you just gotta learn.
I know. Yeah. And then from there, got pregnant with my son and decided to do social media management. Did that for like a year and a half for local businesses in town, which was really fun. But I realized like my favorite part about that business was getting to go to the businesses and talk to the business owners because I was missing that human or adult interaction, you know?
Adult, yeah.
Right. It's human. And yeah, so was like, enjoyed it, was like okay at it, but then was also trying to juggle and balance like life as a brand new mom and also a business owner and like who did not have any maternity leave because my clients needed, you know, because I didn't prepare in time. And yeah, so did that for a while. I was really like thankful for that because I got to spend the first year and a half at home with my son. But then it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I can't do this and like be a full-time stay-at-home mom at the same time because he doesn't just lay on the floor anymore.
He's busy. He has things to do, things to see.
Yes.
Probably chairs to jump off of. He's a little boy.
Gosh, yes.
But it sounds like, I mean, your social media, so those listening that maybe have their own small business or thinking of starting out, you do a really wonderful job marketing on social media. So what are some of those tactics and things you've learned when you were doing it for others and now that you're doing it for yourself?
Consistency is key. And
we just released a podcast episode earlier last week about it.
There you go. Go listen to that one. And don't be afraid to show up on Instagram stories. Like everyone is too worried about themselves to judge you on whether your Instagram story is perfect or not. I've been to like a couple of vendor events and I get complimented from other small business owners like, oh, you just do such a good job. And I'm just too afraid to like show up on Instagram stories. I'm like, that's where customers are sold, in my opinion, is on Instagram stories. And like posts and reels, those are just building evidence and like being another touch point for them. But people are also snoopy and they like want to know about your life and what's happening in your business. And
we call it sleuthing.
Yes. Okay. Which I think too is why like influencers are so popular because they like let you in on everything. And while there is like, I think everything you share needs to be true, but you don't have to share everything.
Yeah.
But like, don't be afraid to show up. I think that's like a missed
I like that a lot.
ball, however that saying goes, a missed opportunity. I was thinking of like a sports game. I don't know. Missed it.
I was like,
we get it. I know what you're saying, but people get to know you that way. I think whether like we feel like we know you a little bit just because we do follow you, even though I haven't met you yet. So pre this podcast.
And don't try to be someone else on your Instagram stories either or on social media. You know,
it's always better if you're genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And you're located, talk a little bit about your location, where people like, where is your studio? What's some of that?
Yeah. So I'm actually just around the corner.
Oh, fun.
I'm above Jake's. So in the Billings building.
Honestly, I always just refer to it. The Jake's building.
Yes. Yeah. So I am on the 6th floor.
So great lighting.
Yeah. I have 3 windows, which is wonderful.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I want to touch base on that because you're only one of 2 House of Colors franchises in the state.
Correct.
Where's the other one?
In Miles City.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like bringing a new industry business like this to our community, and how have you found your target market?
It's a great question. It was kind of tricky because, and I've heard from other people, like Montana kind of seems to be more on like the end of the scale where we get things later.
Yeah.
And like especially fashion trends and all of that. And And so a lot of people in Montana just have no idea what color analysis is. And like the House of Color brand is not a recognizable brand here, but people are also like really excited about it. And so I've had people travel from Butte and from Helena and from Bozeman. Like I've had a lot of people come from out of town to get their colors done because they were probably in the same boat as me of like, oh, I want to do this, but there's nowhere close to me. So yeah, it's been really fun to like, I don't know that I've necessarily like trailblazed the way, but like even just the brand recognition. And then I'm hoping someday someone opens one in Missoula and in Bozeman, just because the more people are aware of it, then the more
that are going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's the two of you in Montana, and then the next like is North Dakota and Idaho.
Now there's a gal in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah. But she's the only one in Wyoming. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's still making its way up north.
Yeah. Yes.
And do you do appointments every day, or do you have like kind of a schedule of like your admin day and then appointment days?
So yeah, it's all like by appointment. So you go online to schedule, and I am still always trying to figure out the best schedule with like childcare and all of that. But I typically do like Mondays are kind of an admin day and more of like a half day. And then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is like how my summer has been, where I'll see clients. And then my husband works at the mine, so he's off 2 weekends a month. And so I'll take those weekends off. But then, somebody who works 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 can't come during the weekday. And so I have like a few Saturdays a month open too.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Especially because you've traveled a little bit too in the state, right? So doing some of those things outside of Billings.
So you can take this on the road.
I can.
I'm assuming a little cumbersome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think if someone is willing to drive, it's better for them to come to me. But I have family who lives in Missoula. So going to Missoula isn't too bad, because then so if someone wants me to travel to them, there is a travel fee. And, then there's they don't have to pay for me to stay somewhere, because I can just stay with my family. But yeah, it's fun to take it on the road if I have to.
So what have been some of the things, you've been open now for a little over a year, what have been some of those big learning things, good and or bad, if you've had any bad, in the past year as a business owner with a location and doing this?
Yeah. I would say I'm now at the point where I'm excited to see even just the revenue trends of what they'll look like this year compared to what they were last year, because I think I got into a few some tight times last year where I was like, oh, this is a really exciting month, and then the next month was like, oh, I didn't set aside any of that money in case the next month wasn't quite as
vibrant.
Right. Yes.
That's those ups and downs, that roller coaster in that first year where you're like, I'm doing great. Oh my God, I'm doing great. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's totally that way too, because it's not like a gym where you have members and they're paying every single month.
Yeah.
It's I'm always in sales mode and always looking for new customers. And so I have oh my gosh, 4 people booked this week. And then it's no one's booked in the last 2 weeks. And maybe I should just close my doors. Not really, but it definitely, is very much of that okay, all right, we're going to be okay. Yeah.
And how do you so you have people that maybe have done color and style. Are there things that keep them, so it's not just to and done, that keep them connected to you or engaged with you in some of those maybe other services you might have?
Yeah. So I always offer personal shopping.
Oh, fun.
If someone I've gone shopping with a cute little high school girl for her senior pictures.
That's really fun.
Yeah. And I've done one online virtual shopping appointment for a gal. And then I have what I call Color Club. So everyone, once you get your colors done, it's a lot of information, very overwhelming. And it's okay, now what? We kind of just want that okay, easy button. I just want a few easy wins. And so I started offering what's called Color Club. And it's essentially You pay, it's $12.99 a month, and you get 70 plus links of shoppable clothes in your season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So even if you're like, okay, I just want a few t-shirts, or like I try to make it a range of like work clothes to casual clothes, a few swimsuit options and shoes.
And you go and find all of that.
I do.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
For $12.99, that's a huge deal.
That is a lot of finding. And then it's like
is.
different, like winter, because in Montana we have for
in different body shapes.
Climate seasons.
Yeah. Totally.
Wow. And then probably different price points too.
Yeah. I try and keep it like pretty affordable, because then I do it through, similar to a Like to Know It. It's like through that kind of a platform. So I could like link $200 things, but I'm like, the average person's not just going to buy that, right?
Probably not. Depending, unless it's like a code or something,
right.
Staple item.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But maybe.
I usually do like Nordstrom, Old Navy, Madewell, Anthropology, a good range of even price points too.
And even if they saw it, they could go find it somewhere else
totally.
too if they wanted.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Along this process, what are some misconceptions that you found that people think about your business?
Well, there's that like home design, like interior design.
Picking my house color.
Yes.
Do you just shoo them over to Made for Home?
Yes.
Like, go to Jessica.
I'm like, you don't want me to do that. Also, people are usually surprised the like length of time. I did a pop-up at Meridian Boutique in Bozeman it's been like probably a month now. And I was just like sitting in the chair as people were shopping, just like talking to them. And a couple people were like, oh, well, I'll do that right now. I'm like, okay, do you have 2 hours? And they're like, oh, So just that like, maybe not a misconception, but just like the lack of knowledge, which is not their fault, of just like the actual how in-depth it actually is. And I think a misconception that I had was like, oh, well, I'll just like, do it part-time. And not that it's not fun, but it'll be like really fun. And then I'll have like just a lot of free time. And so that was a major misconception that I had. And they even told me in the interview process, like a lot of people think this is going to be part-time, but it, even if like you see color clients part-time, the back end work adds up, which I'm like not complaining about at all.
Well, like website management, all of that, just even a scheduling platform.
Yeah.
You have to build, someone has to build it.
Yeah. I love what I do, which it just makes it all worth it. So.
Which is good. We always say once you have a passion for something, you have a higher chance of success because you have that pushing you forward,
right?
Versus going, I started this business because I thought it would make me money. And then when you get into those hard times, you're like, I'm getting out of here.
Have there been things in Billings that have been helpful as you started out and as you were starting out with the franchise to help get you going and started, or like peer groups, things like that were helpful to you?
I know there are a lot. I did not take advantage of many of them.
No. I was just like, I didn't know because it's unique. Yeah.
I joined the chamber, which was like helpful, but I also didn't go to the meetings, and like join an actual group.
You're like, I have a toddler.
Right. I did. Yeah. I found that like trying to juggle that, and then any time that I had, I selfishly or not selfishly, I don't know, I wanted to like work on my business. And so more so of it has been like, oh, I would love to speak to your group of women about color and style and why it's important, and more of
those are fun things too, probably.
Yeah.
Because you're so passionate about it that you get to speak and share with groups of people. Yeah.
And House of Color does so much, like there's a lot provided for me.
That's really nice.
So it's really, because it's a franchise. So it's not like I'm completely starting from scratch.
Yeah. That's
like,
a really nice thing about franchises.
Yeah. They have such a good like bank of things that I can pull from and people that I can reach out to if I need help for anything.
And trainings or conferences, I assume that might be kind of fun to go and connect with others.
Does the House of Color have a conference every year?
We do.
Is it different or is it the same place?
It's different every year.
How fun.
So this year in February, it was in Austin, which was really fun. next February, well, actually, I think it was in April. It's going to be in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Ooh, fancy.
Which I'm like, of course, a plane ticket is $1,000.
Well, you're in Florida, so you might as well just go to Orlando and bring,
Yeah,
How fun. But like warm locations.
yes,
Yeah.
That's always nice.
yeah.
I have another question for you. A big part of your business is empowering and celebrating each individual. How's that changed your perspective on life?
That's a great question.
I'm sorry, I have these great questions.
No, I love them. So I have a friend. The retreat that I went to with my life coach and the group coaching, there were like 2 other girls, one who I actually got my colors done with, but we're like in a group chat and we text all the time. And the one is always like, you need to start romanticizing your life. And so her saying that, and then me, like, just the role that I play and the job that I get to do, I'm like, okay, we need to start, like, wear the fun dress just because you're running to Target. Like, doesn't mean you have to wear leggings and a sweatshirt, right? Yeah, she's always like, romanticize the little things, romanticize taking care of yourself. And so I have to give Bryn the credit for that one because I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Also, and so like thinking about life, like we have one life, and we talk about this in style too. Like, yes, you are maybe at home with your kids and then you go to work and then, you know, this and that, but like we're one human being and we live one life. And so you can take whatever that is into every area of your life, and you don't have to downplay yourself just because you're in the car pickup line getting your kids. Like, maybe actually if you throw a lip color on, you're going to be more likely, this is like also maybe scientific fact, I don't know.
Chancellor Hickswatt talked about it with the lipstick thing too.
Yeah, you're like actually more likely to say hi to another mom or like thank the teacher. And when you have lip color on, you're actually like, you smile more. And so picking up your kids, you're going to be like smiling and more excited to see them, which then is going to change their attitude.
Because we're like, mom's happy to see me.
Right. Yeah. Versus like, oh, you know, like maybe a 5-year-old would or wouldn't think like, oh, what's wrong with mom today? You know, but like we also think those things about ourselves when we see ourselves in the mirror. And so I've had 2 gals now who got their colors done when they were like just about to give birth. And I'm like, going into postpartum, wearing your colors, even if it is sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Like a cute lounge suit around the house.
Yeah, like you're going to feel, exactly. You're going to feel so much better about just yourself, honestly, in the trenches of postpartum than you would if you're wearing a color that's just like already doing yourself disservice.
Wow.
It's almost like they should start like, be like, oh, you're pregnant. Make sure you get your colors done.
Yes.
So when you have the baby in your home,
Right.
Your husband can have your lounge suit ready.
Yes.
in your color.
In your color, yes.
In your
With
colors.
matching slippers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a great conversation, and thank you for joining us. We like to end each episode with a set of rapid fire questions, rapid-ish fire. So before we do that, we'll just hear a quick message from our sponsor.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. So my first question for you is, what is special about True Red?
Oh, everybody can wear True Red. It's like the neutral color.
And what red is that? Like what just like a true.
Yeah, so it has no yellow, so it's not like a orangey like firehouse red, or it has no blue in it, so it's not starting to turn burgundy.
Wow, so true red.
So instead of like a little black dress, it should really be the little red dress.
Ooh, so what, give us, I'm going to take a little separate. Black.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that? We didn't get to talk about that, but we need to talk about
color.
it. It is my favorite color.
Same thing.
And I'm not even wearing it today. Yeah.
You guys are like out of the norm for your guys' outfits.
So good. I love it.
Hayden's like, we look like watermelon. And I'm like, we do. We do. And I'm happy about it.
It is happy. the majority of people love black. But I think it's because we've been told all of our lives that black is universally flattering and it's universally slimming, which is not true.
I'm shocked right now. I thought black could be worn by everybody.
Right. However, if you're a winter, you can handle, so black is a very high contrast color. So someone who's a winter really thrives in high contrast. They get black, they get true white, and then like really clear, vibrant, bright colors. And so they can really handle the high contrast of black. For everyone else, black is honestly too harsh and too heavy. So it can actually, in some cases, there are colors that can make you look heavier than you actually are. Same with
That's my problem.
Wow. No, that's super interesting.
Yeah. And like, same with like, it can make you look more tired. Like black can put dark under eye circles under your eyes when they actually maybe weren't there in the first place. And yeah, but I have a lot of women come in saying, well, almost my whole closet is black, white, and gray.
Wow. That's really shocking.
And even, so then they're like, okay, well, what about pants? I'm like, well, when you're wearing all of the tops in your autumn colors and then you put your black leggings on, you're going to notice that they don't look as good as your dark brown leggings do.
Interesting.
Oh, wow.
So we talk about like shoe color, pant color, belts, accessories, jewelry,
Like gold,
nail
silvers.
colors. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay.
Our minds are
So
blown.
curious.
Yeah.
And the shoes are interesting too, like shape, color, and pants, because it's always like a good pair of black pants, even though it's like maybe that's not something we should all be wearing.
Yeah. Because it's really about like the overall harmony from like head to toe that you're giving off.
And your workout gear, a lot of things are just like black.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Listeners, you can't see this, but our mouths are all open. Our brains are all blown up. Like we're
Hayden's still recovering. Like, not everyone can wear the color black. Okay. How do you celebrate your wins?
That is a great question. And I do not do a good job at celebrating my wins. There have been a couple times that like my husband and I will go out to dinner and I'll get a margarita and chips and queso.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah. Or like an iced
sounds
coffee.
like a great way to celebrate.
I know. I'm like, I love chips and salsa and margaritas.
That's what we did after our first episode launched.
I love it.
Margaritas.
Yeah.
I'm prescribing you more of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Romanticize it, right?
Yes.
Which I really love that. I'm going to think of that more.
Grab your red dress.
Yes.
Get out there. Eat some chips and salsa.
Yes.
It is fun to see people in red because
Yeah.
I do think it's a stunning color, unlike anyone I've ever seen it in, like that really true red.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question for you is, what advice would you give a small business owner or entrepreneur that is just starting out?
Don't give up. Probably one of the best advice I was given was don't quit on a bad day.
Oh, I love that.
That's really nice.
Yeah. If you're going to quit, make it on like you're at the mountaintop and everything is going well and you truly feel like you need to head in a different direction. But don't quit when it's hard, because then you're always going to quit when it's hard and you're never going to get to that mountaintop.
I also think you're always going to question if you quit when it was hard, if you could have survived if you kept going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then like if you're a parent, think about the message that is sending to your kids.
Yeah.
You know,
They're very observant. I don't have kids, but little cousins, and they're very observant.
Yeah.
In fun ways. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally.
They pick up on a lot. So where can people find you? We've talked a little bit about your social media account, but how, like website, social?
Yeah. So I'm mainly on Instagram. I try to show up on Instagram stories every day.
I see them.
We see them. We like them.
Thank you. I like have it where it automatically posts to Facebook. So I'm not like super active on Facebook other than it reposting there. I am on LinkedIn, but I recently was like, oh, I should probably log in, and I don't know my password. So not super active there. But then you can go to, so also if you're not in the Billings area and maybe you live somewhere else and you want to find a House of Color person near you, you can just go to House of Color. And House of Color is a UK-based company. So color is COLOUR. So you can go to houseofcolor.com and you'll click on the little tab that says Find Stylist, and you can just enter in your zip code.
Oh, cool.
And it will pop up. Like if you entered in 59102 or 59101, it would pop up me. It would probably pop up Laura down in Sheridan next because like Miles, she's closer, and then Sienna in Miles City. And it'll show you like all of the closest stylists near you.
That's cool. And so what's your Instagram handle?
It is House of Color West Billings.
Very cool.
Even though I'm downtown.
I like the West Billings. I think it has a fun sound to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Anything else you'd like to share with listeners before we end our episode?
One thing I do tell all of my clients, because one, people come and they're like, I didn't know what color to wear today, you know. If you love the way that you look and feel in a color, whether you know your colors or not, if you like love the way you look and feel in a color, keep wearing that color. Because truly, like, it's all about it's like the look good, feel good, play good. Like if you put yourself together and you put yourself in a color, whether or not you know it's in your season, because maybe you haven't gotten your colors done yet, but you feel really good in it, then walk out the door confidently and say hi to somebody and give someone else a compliment.
I love that.
I really like that.
Well, Kaitlyn, it's been a blast having you on. Like I said, you've blown our minds, and I'm excited to come get my colors done.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.